XboxEra is about to enter its 5th year, and that's all thanks to you. If you're new here, let me fill you in. XboxEra is a platform for the Xbox community with best-in-class forums, a kick-ass Discord server, and of course XboxEra.com, chock full of the latest news, reviews and more, all focused on your favourite platform, Xbox. It's every Xbox fan's gateway to the best of XboxEra. Our incredible podcast listened to in over 50 countries across the planet, our own digital store for games and codes, our merch store for the coolest of Xbox threads, and of course Dayone, where you can track, rate and discuss your favourite games on Xbox Game Pass. XboxEra is built for you, and it's completely funded by you. If you value having a publication truly focused on your preferred place to play, you can support us directly via Patreon. Just head to patreon.com/XboxEra. You get cool swag and awesome perks, and we get to keep doing what we do. Become a part of the best Xbox community on the internet and help us build the next 5 years of XboxEra. Thank you for your support. Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of XboxEra Headlines. The date is September the 3rd. I'm Sika Mechanico, and today Jesse and I will be taking you through all of the latest in gaming news from across the industry. Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation, the Wii U, who knows? We'll do it all. As a bonus for our wonderful patrons, we'll make audio versions of these episodes available to them for listening in the Patreon app. But if they're on Spotify, they can link the accounts, weave some magic, and listen to it right there. If you want to become a Patreon member, which is the best way you can support XboxEra and keep us alive and ticking, head to patreon.com/XboxEra. Hi, Jesse.
Hello.
Busy week, huh? Busy week for you.
Yeah. So we've just had 2 things go live literally this minute, this second. It's just ticked over to 10 o'clock. First up on the docket today will be Star Trucker, which is coming to Game Pass, I believe, today?
Yes, today.
Oh, yeah.
And
as of 2 hours ago, it was out, and you could stream it.
So before you continue, for anyone listening and thinking, a space trucker simulation game, that's not my jam. Even if it isn't, please go watch the video review, because Jesse is hilarious in the opening segment. And I was cracking up this morning watching that. Go watch it, even if you're not even interested in the game. But if they have some interest in the game, Jesse, why don't you tell them what the hell it is?
It is a really fun game coming to Game Pass. I gave it a 7.8, but it's a really good 7.8. Like, it's not aiming to be anything over the top or crazy. It is a truck driving delivery simulator, but you are in space. It's really pretty. It controls real well. The base difficulty is very focused on the sim side of having to keep your truck working via even batteries that power everything. Or, like you can see in this, I've got to go out, I've got to get my suit, I've got to go outside the ship and spacewalk to patch up some holes. But even like the suit has a battery system. So on the bottom left, you can see the power for it there. And I've got to go and fix the hull breach. It's literally the first thing you do in the game. When you have the tutorial on, because it is highly customizable. You can make it as easy or as hard as you want. So if you just want to have a really fun, relaxing driving simulator in a extremely pretty space, then you can make it that. If you want the full-on, I'm European and I hate life and I want to have a really tough job type of game, you can have that. You can make it a full-on simulator where you are balancing everything nonstop like a twisted trucker magician. It's really fun. It's on Game Pass today. As of 2 hours ago, you could stream it, but only now has the review embargo gone up, which is really weird. Normally it's the other way around. But yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think it's $25 if you want to buy it, or it is day one on Game Pass. It's play anywhere, and I was jumping between Xbox and PC with aplomb, with no problems at all. As long as you give it 30 seconds, it will sync your save files, and you're good to go. Runs great on both. No HDR on Xbox, if that's an issue. It does have the auto HDR on PC. Sometimes they add that in after launch. on Xbox, and I just don't get to see it during the review period. So your mileage may vary. It's a really fun game. There's a lot to it. I try not to spoil everything in the reviews because there's a lot to find out, and there's more complexity to the quest system and everything. It can go places. I don't particularly like the writing. They're going for being truckers, and that's why I kind of did the "come on, brother, let's go head on" in the opening segment when I did my talking, but I couldn't do it the whole friggin' time.
I was really hoping you should have done the whole review like that. I would have died.
If it was like a 4-minute long review, yeah, but it was like 7, so I was like, I can't do a Southern accent the whole time. It's just gonna fall apart. But yeah, that is Space Trucker out today. I believe, maybe even now on Xbox Game Pass. It should be soon, if not, because you're allowed to friggin' stream it, and it said September 3rd. So
yeah, it's definitely today.
That was mine today, and I've got another one tomorrow that I can't say what it is, but it's a very positive review.
Yeah, as it should be. Equally, obviously, speaking of Game Pass, Microsoft dropped their first drop of the month. I think they're definitely giving subscribers just a little bit of breathing room now before the torrent of games continues, because like I can't keep up now anymore. Like it's just impossible. Like it's too much. But we have Age of Mythology Retold, which obviously we dropped our review earlier this week, is dropping tomorrow. Expeditions, a Mud Runner game, is coming on September 5th on the Friday. We have Riders Republic from Ubisoft dropping on September the 11th, and Train Sim World 5 coming on September 17th. So a little bit of everything there for folks.
I'm interested in Age of Mythology, and I'm not actively reviewing anything at the moment, so I might actually check it out because it just looks fun.
Weird. The review did the same thing to me. I was editing the review, and I was like, "Do I want to play an RTS game?" And
it's the type I would want to. I don't want to do. I don't want to do 4X. I don't have the patience for 4X, but actual real time strategy, I think I do. I played Riders Republic a lot. We used to have a review. I had to delete it. Don't ask. But Riders Republic is really, really fun and has the worst audio of any game ever made. It is the most annoying shit. Mute all the audio, like all the talking. Skip every cutscene. Go full Nick, and that game's really fun. Like it actually controls and plays great. It's really fun to go around and do goofy shit. But it is the cringiest thing I've ever experienced. It is everything I hate about humanity.
Are we talking about like Forza Horizon 4 and 5 levels of cringe?
No, infinitely worse than those.
Oh, that's a high
Forza
level
Horizon
of
4 and 5 are cringy and annoying. This is so bad it makes you want to go like full on
murder people. Murder spree. Okay,
it's not good.
Next up, obviously, Game Pass. Oh, a quick note, just things leaving Game Pass. September 15th, you can wave goodbye. So get in. You got like 10 days or so before these will go. Ashes of the Singularity, Escalation, FIFA 23, Payday 3, Slime Rancher 2, Spider Heck, and You Suck at Parking. God, that was a fun little puzzle game.
And Slime Rancher 2 isn't even version 1.0 yet. That's happened a few times. People just don't play it enough where they don't stick in early access the whole time.
Yeah, it's a shame. But yeah, you've got till September 15th if you want to play those. Now, we mentioned just at the beginning here that unfortunately embargoes being what they were, we had 3 things all drop at 3 p.m. This show, Space Trucker, and my hands-on preview for Little Nightmares 3, which is available now. Just realized I should probably log into Twitter and do some tweets for these articles. I'll do that once I finish talking, unless you want to. But yeah, I got a chance to get hands-on with Little Nightmares 3. If you've been following XboxEra for a while, you'll know that Little Nightmares 2 was my game of the year for 2021. I absolutely adored it. So Little Nightmares 3 is a little bit of a odd duck in this instance because, hey, it's not being made by Tarsier. It's being made by Supermassive Games with Bandai Namco owning the IP. Why is that, you might ask? Well, Tarsier was purchased by Embracer. So they couldn't continue with a franchise that Bandai Namco owned, but Bandai Namco know that people really, really like the world of Little Nightmare 3, so they've tasked another developer to bring us the next iteration in that franchise. Now, It was a cool demo. It was different to the one where they went through the kind of desert-like environment that you saw at Gamescom opening night live. This was set in a twisted candy factory, so it was referred to as the Candyland demo.
Did it feel more like 1 and 2 than that Gamescom demo did?
It felt good. And I'll explain why. If you're a fan of Little Nightmares, it's great and I love them, but controlling your little child in that 2.5D world always felt a little off, a little bit heavy, a little bit wonky. I'm pleased to say that Little Nightmares 3 feels so much better to control. There is a small part of me that in some aspects, I don't know if they've completely brought Nowhere back to life in the way that I would envisage with Tarsier's art style, but they've done a good enough job. It looks nice. Bear in mind, this is a cross-generation game, so it's launching on Switch, PS4, Xbox One, as well as current-gen consoles.
This style, though, I think it doesn't get hit as hard as some others do.
It's not a huge deal, but the big thing for this, obviously, is the integration of full co-op. So be that shared screen or online. And for the demo, they ushered us into a room, and my co-op partner was a German who didn't speak much English. I was just like, we'll muddle through. And we were wearing headsets. And I'm pleased to say, out of all the journos or whoever was in that room with us, we were the only ones that had completed the demo and walked out, and everybody was still stuck. An initial puzzle.
That was us with Towerborn, but we were helped by the CEO of the company who absolutely destroyed. But we killed that boss and then had like another 10 minutes when a lot of people did not kill the boss.
Yeah. So it was a great demo. The big differences for Little Nightmares 3 is in Little Nightmares 2, you could pick up contextual like heavy weapons like a wrench and you could bash things. In this, you play as two characters called Low and Alone. Suitably miserable names for a miserable world. And one of them has a little bow and arrow, and one of them has a wrench. So there's switches to shoot at and chains to smash apart and buttons to bash. And that's generally the kind of co-op vibe. And as always, you're avoiding much bigger beasties than yourself. This one for this demo was a kind of like, she looked like a bit like a librarian, but she was obviously like the head honcho of this candy factory, the administrator. But she had like 7 arms, and it was weird looking. But again, there was something that it didn't feel as weird and as unnerving as some of Tarsier's, crazy stuff with the weird stretchy neck lady and other bits and pieces. And obviously we have Reanimal announced now by Tarsier, which kind of has the similar vibe of Little Nightmares, but is in a completely new IP and new world. So it's an interesting.
It feels like
they're both coming 2025. They're both kind of
It feels like when movie companies get a pitch and then you get 2 versions of
you get Deep Impact.
Yeah, or you get like 2 live action Pinocchios within a year of each other out of nowhere. Like it feels like one of those.
But yeah, overall, I'm looking forward to it. It's absolutely a game that I will play. I loved the first 2 games. They've definitely improved things that can be improved. My question is now can they stick the landing? Can they evoke the same kind of responses that made Little Nightmares 2 Game of the Year for me? Can Supermassive do that? I had a brief chat with the dev. It wasn't a recorded one, but I asked the question. I was like, how does that feel like? And they were like, we're determined to put our own stamp on things. The world is going to be Nowhere that you know and love, but we're going to do different things. And I think you can see some of that co-op focus really coming through in the trailer. So definitely looking forward to getting hands-on with the final product next year. But if you want to watch the full preview, you can go check it out on the YouTube channel now. It is live and available for your enjoyment.
Don't you mean Returnal, John?
Man, I've completely lost the plot. That I was so tired that day, and I was like, let it be a short show, and it just was not a short show.
No, it could have gone 2 or 3 hours longer because we barely talked about Gamescom and the trip.
There is a part
really.
of me, and I'm not raising this as a point now, but it is killing me a little bit. Staying up till 3-4 a.m. on a Saturday, especially on nights when I have the kids, it is genuinely
becoming a bit of an issue. But the alternatives are we go earlier and Nick has to get up early. But I'd personally argue getting up early isn't as bad as going to bed at 4 a.m. I'm just saying.
He's already up that early anyways for work.
So,
but it is the day he gets to sleep in normally.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I feel like at some point soon I might have to have a conversation on that one because it is fucking me up. Anyways, Little Nightmares 3. Go check out the hands-on preview right now. Well, no, not right now. In about 45 minutes when we're done with this show.
Okay, Jojo, you cannot be there knocking my stream deck around.
I had three mice brought in by Boots yesterday. 3 in the space of an hour. It's just like went and murdered a whole family and just dropped them in the garage for me. Just like, hey, you're a shit hunter. Here's some food. Thanks, Boots. Now, whilst I'm going to bring this up, but then I'm going to segue over to you talking a little bit about it so I can do some tweets for Space Trucker and stuff.
I did Space Trucker if you want to get the other ones.
Oh, I'll do that. But I'm going to segue you in nicely. Before we get into the rest of the news of the week, big piece from us is it's pretty much 24 hours to go to secure your copy of Console Wars, the card game. We've had the big, we're seeing the surge now of people suddenly going, oh, yeah, this is ending soon. I should back it. And we want more. We had something like 25 new backers in the last 18 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So more, because if we can hit
another
150%, 200% backed, then we can add
somebody
a few
backed
more
for $8. That's weird.
People are strange.
It went from 38,000 to 38,008.
Who knows? But please, if you haven't done it yet, go check it out because you'll get a copy. You'll get a copy Q1 next year. We're going to be pretty much moving to as quick as we can, almost immediate production. And tomorrow, I will be sharing a lengthy post to kind of celebrate the end of the Kickstarter with some details on some of the improvements we've brought to the game. From feedback at Gamescom from the many different players and different walks of life that came and got hands on with it, and kind of what's next. So super exciting. 24 hours and a bit to go. So if you haven't backed it yet, please do consider backing it, even if you just want to help us out, because that would be awesome. So I'll stick a link in the chat again. Feel free to go check that out. Anywho's, diving into news of the week. This is a fun one. Enotria, the last song, has delayed its Xbox version 2 weeks before it was apparently meant to be launching because Microsoft won't reply to any of their emails. What's going on here, Jesse? What's going on?
It's a weird one. A lot of people are trying to say it's like Hawk, but Hawk was very different because Hawk was they didn't exist anymore. Like they literally said 3 or 4 months before they went public that the actual dev team had disbanded on that game. This one does feel like, and it's the CEO of the company going out and just saying like, we're not getting any responses for everything's done. We spent a lot of money, extra money because people said they really wanted to play it, but now we cannot get our store page created. So it's like everything done, build done, having no luck getting the store page created. And I do think it was bad timing with it being yesterday because yesterday was Labor Day in America, which means no one at Microsoft working legally. It is one of the few national holidays we get where everyone is supposed to have it off. Even my wife, who works at a hospital, had it off. So it is the Italian folklore style Souls-like. It was originally canceled for Xbox back in March. They then recommitted to an Xbox version in May. And now 2 weeks before launch, they're just saying it's going to be delayed because we're 2 months without hearing directly from Microsoft and we cannot make a store. So it sounds like it is an issue on Xbox's end. It is similar to what happened to Hawk, but it doesn't feel super widespread. It's not something you hear about often. This is only the second time, and there's been, 2,000 games released this year on the platform or something conservatively. I don't think people understand how many games come out every week. Why do I do so many giveaways? Because there's 30 ID at Xbox games a week that we could never cover or play everything of. There is just so much that comes out. But definitely a weird situation here. Hopefully it is something they can fix quickly. It's just making a store page.
I I might end up doing, if time allows this week, a little John talking at the camera thought piece on what's going on Microsoft, like a kind of like hey guys, are you okay Xbox, like not leaning in too much into the drama of things, because you know us, we're not a drama channel, we don't like
Nick would like to be,
but like I understand, like you start to add, like again, it's just this optics thing, you know, because the problem Microsoft have is the industry leap on this stuff. They really do.
But it's the easiest engagement.
Of course it is. But they leap on it, and then everybody's talking about it, and Microsoft, big old Microsoft, is just sitting there. And it's like, dudes, you're in third place. Yes, you're making more money than ever. But like, you've got fans concerned out the wazoo that you're going to abandon hardware. You've got fans upset that you are giving away your precious exclusive games. And now you've got developers, CEOs of video game companies publicly going, what the fuck, you know? And it's like, are you aware? Like, do you understand? Are you listening? Because Microsoft has been typically really great at actually listening to feedback from us, the broader community, and the last 18 months that's clammed right up. They've stopped being so chatty, so open, so forthright. It's clear there's a lot of change, there's a lot of turbulence. Is this a result of cuts? Is this a result of integration snafus? What's happening? And we're not owed answers to that stuff, but I understand why people are like, what's going on, Microsoft? I mean, granted, it doesn't affect me as a consumer. So outside of, I can't play that game. Not that I would, it's not my type. But for people that really were looking forward to that, it's a kick in the balls, right? Especially if this is your preferred place to play. And now just because of Microsoft, you can't get to play. It's an odd scenario.
I will say, and it's going to be one of the type of things where people are like, you're defending them. It's like,
you're defending. No, it's okay. We like differing points of view. Because,
this is a dumb.
That's how we arrive at adult conversations.
This situation feels dumb. Like this situation feels like something avoidable, but
yeah,
it's incredibly isolated. And the only reason it is something is because the CEO did what you don't normally do and just went public with it because he was seemingly frustrated that they had this version ready and were having no luck otherwise. But in the reality of it is there's more coming to the platform now than we've had in a very long time. So it's that give and take. Do you focus on the negative, like makes things easy to do? Do you try and give the whole picture, which is lots of mistakes, lots of benefits? Like they've done bad, they've done good lately. They've got Genshin, they've got other stuff finally coming, but then they've also had problems with this game and some other ones like the empty framework thing where they're missing out on things that people would really like to play. And I think that balance is important to maintain because it's generally not by people who cover stuff because it's very hard. It's really hard to not just go with the easy engagement flow, if that makes sense, where it's like there's definitely things to be negative and critical about. At the same point, you should try to balance the overall message with what reality actually is, which is they're missing on some stuff real bad, they're hitting on some stuff real good. What can they do to just... Is there anything they could ever do to keep people from focusing on the negative? Because, like, say a game like Star Trucker, if you really want to play that, that is only coming out on Xbox today. It's Xbox and PC, and that's it to start. And there's been a lot of those over time, but they're always ignored. They're never talked about that way.
Yeah, of course.
And, like, that game probably won't get that much coverage because it's not on other platforms, and people are just used to that. So it's the reality we're in, where if Xbox makes a mistake, it is really focused on, as it should be. But when others make a mistake or don't have something or there's a positive, it's not as focused on because it's not as good SEO. And then people
that's the frustrating part, right? Is that the industry right now at the moment is not doing itself any favors. It's so keen for all of the for all of the positivity peddlers out there like Paris Lily, right? You've got an industry that is determined to find the worst in itself. You know, like I've always loved games. And I think that I could speak for the majority of people I've met and interacted with across game development and coverage, also love games. But why the fuck are we so miserable about them all the time?
I don't know. Well, I even see like
hate
the geeky nerd is like, when you're in last, you can't afford mistakes, and it's like, what is last? If I can be in last, if XboxEra can be in last, but then make the equivalent of $6 billion a quarter, I'm fine with it. Like, it's we're comparing so much and ignoring the fact that they're all super healthy. Like, the reality, people, they're going to be the next Sega. Is like, no, Sega wasn't healthy. They weren't making money. All of them are all making tons of money. We only see the negative part of the industry right now because they're not growing. So as the rest of our fucking news stories are going to show, people keep getting shut down. And it's not being shut down because no one's making money or things are going bad. It's being shut down because of the way growth is looked at. Also, looking at the footage of this game, this looks very floaty and not good. I hope it's better. I hadn't seen much of it before, but still, that doesn't matter. I hope it's still on there.
It's a very much an optics thing for Microsoft, and unfortunately, that mindset of it's all about console sales is still so prevalent. Like, and I would just urge anyone watching right now. Console sales are important. I want the Xbox console as a console to continue existing. Right, it's my primary place to play. However, from a business health point of view, it's not the be all and end all, right? Especially when you are on virtually all of the other platforms, as Microsoft is doing. And we just need to, I just wish everyone would just get out of that negative mindset and stop focusing on the old way of doing things. Like Sega was what, 25 years ago when they left the console business?
Yeah,
something like that.
roughly.
23, something.
It was like 2001.
Yeah, so it's a long fucking time ago, man. Like, the world is different, right? And things are going to change. Like, I don't know what those changes are going to be. I don't agree with everything Microsoft is doing. I do think that they are mistakenly focusing on the future too much right now. But that's not my call to make. We cover the platform. Let's see what happens.
It's the focus on growth, which is, as you and I always talk about, it's rough. How can you constantly focus on growth to the detriment of the short term? So, but it's
anyway,
also,
I hope Microsoft fix it at the end of the day. Microsoft fix the problem.
When you want to go, who's the biggest? It's Tencent. They're the biggest. They make the most money. Like, that's all anyone actually cares about in the business. So you got Tencent, Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. But Nintendo keeps more. So does that count? Like, we don't know how much Microsoft keeps. We know Sony doesn't keep that much. We know Tencent keeps quite a bit. Like, what are your metrics? If it's just console sales, Microsoft third, absolutely. If it's monthly active users, Microsoft's still above Sony, but they make less money. So what actually matters in the long run? It's just making money. And they're all doing that.
Yeah.
That's what they care about. For you and me, we care about great games. That's all we want. We just want things to play for this hobby. That's what matters to us as customers. We want to know that our purchases are respected, things stay, the type of thing you don't normally get with a Nintendo change. But even then, I would assume everything comes over with the Switch to the Switch 2. Like, it's really changing, and it's very hard to know what is going to actually matter. That's why everyone keeps changing their friggin' ideas of what it's going to be. The only one who hasn't is Nintendo. Nintendo's just, we do what we do. And it didn't work last gen, but boy, is it working this gen. And it'll probably work really well next gen. But Sony is in a position now where they just had one of the biggest flops ever. Like,
we'll talk about that in a bit.
But they'll still be fine as a company. They can withstand probably 10 of those. It's just now that developer is the one you have to worry about. But they made $1 bajillion with Helldivers 2. Like, everyone wants to constantly compare everything to everything else, but it's not how it works. Like, even within Microsoft, it's about how do you do as your company within Microsoft. So Ninja Theory made money last year because they have such a really kick-ass friggin' motion capture studio that others can use and stuff like that. And if you keep your scope down, even if Hellblade 2 wasn't some enormous success, it's not the same as when you've got a Redfall or something else that really fall in their face and don't make any money. But if their scope was higher and it cost more over time, like, there's all these things we just don't get to know. But people online, especially in our level of shit is like,
Yeah.
we pretend to know. And then people go like, well, then I know because they're saying they know. And it's like, well, no one actually knows. And that's the annoying thing.
I can see, who was it that just wrote it? I can see it. Where is it? In the chat. I knew I just saw it and yeah, I've lost it. I don't know where it's gone.
I know Deadly and One Bad have both talked.
Yeah. Hi guys. Hi chat, by the way. Hit the like button if you would be so kind. But yeah, like we there's other things as well. There's the June dev, and that quote's been, oh, Series S, here it comes again, striking the
Yeah, even though the
problem.
next line is literally, it'll be fine. Like,
yeah, I know. It's I just it's really irritating, you know. But let's see what happens. It's very tiring to like try and be angry about all of this stuff. I feel sorry for the more content creator YouTube side of the.
you feel bad
the
for
house,
a Dreamcast guy like Nick?
Just constantly having to be angry about everything. Can you imagine living life that way?
Yes, Jordan, my review of Space Marine 2 is done. You can expect it closer to its September 5th early access launch.
Yes. Looking forward to watching that and playing more of that. What? Anyways, next up in the news.
More happy news.
I'm going to sneak in a little bit of news just to promote some more content. If you enjoyed or had the chance to play or watch my Splitgate 2 alpha stream, I would just urge you. I actually got to interview the CEO of 1047 Games, developers of Splitgate and Splitgate 2, about like, hey, you're launching a free-to-play live service game in 2024. Those aren't doing well. What's your plan for that? And many more questions. If you're a big fan of Halo, I would give it a watch as well. Level design, all sorts of stuff. It was a half-hour conversation that I painstakingly transcribed into written form. So please do go give it a read because it's quite a good read. And frustratingly, it's one of those things you spend a long amount of time on comparatively to like a video or something or a quick news article, and people don't like to read. But it's available right now. You can go click it. I think that's the link. There you go. Boom. Anyway, next up in the news, Visions of Mana developer. I don't know how to pronounce this. Uka.
I would go Uka.
Studios. Reportedly facing possible closure. This is coming via Anthony Fantino at Insider Gaming. We've just had a Visions of Mana drop on to Xbox, I think for the first time, much to Miles Dompier's delight.
It is reviewed well. It's like 77 on OpenCritic, I believe.
Yeah, it's done okay. It hasn't changed the world, but for fans of the series, good times. I believe the studio is owned by NetEase, but this is according to a new report via Bloomberg that NetEase might be shutting down Visions of Mana developer.
Yeah, supposedly most of their people have already been fired, and it's just in that.
It's cut a handful of jobs at its Osaka studio in Tokyo. And Bloomberg later elaborated on Twitter that NetEase had issued these staff reductions since spring. Both Tencent and NetEase also reportedly considering a variety of investments in Japanese studios. This may be because years of spending have yielded few hit games. Again, huge change from how the industry used to be, because in Japan, big consoles like the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are not the norm. The norm is mobile. The norm is Switch, handhelds. Things are changing.
Yeah, it is funny. People don't seem to realize that Japan is not a big platform for PlayStation. Like, it has sold well there, but they don't sell any hardware because it has mostly sold well there to be scalped over to China.
Go figure. But yeah, hope there's no confirmation of this, by the way. This is just via Bloomberg.
They're normally pretty accurate,
and
unfortunately.
Tencent have yet to comment, but yes, Bloomberg normally are on the money. So there you go. Continuing the bad news run here, I'm sorry to say, Helldivers 2 and Dead Island 2 support studio Toadman Interactive have also confirmed layoffs. This is via GameDeveloper.com with Chris Kerr, the news editor there. Toadman Interactive, the studio known for developing original titles like Immortal Unchained and plying its trade as a work-for-hire developer, is making layoffs. The company confirmed this news on LinkedIn and explained it would be making some redundancies and shuttering its offices in Stockholm, Visby, and Oslo. The direct quote here from that team: like many other game companies, we've gone through a tough period over the last year, and unfortunately that means we are shutting down our offices in Stockholm, Visby, and Oslo, as well as having some redundancies in our Berlin studio. If you are hiring in the game space, please reach out to the Irakan dos Santos, and we would love to make introductions to our talented staff.
Yeah.
Games industry, man, it is brutal out there right now. It is absolutely brutal. Toadman's latest release, Evil v Evil, was met with lackluster reception when it launched on July 16th, and sales figures came in on the lower end of expectations. Toadman, as a developer, had 111 employees at the end of that reporting period in June. It's unclear at this point how many full-time workers will remain once EG7 has finished carving through the studio. Rough.
And that's rough, but then the next one is even crazier to me.
Yep. The bad news continues. Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson reporting here. Ballistic Moon faces layoffs ahead of the Until Dawn remake. So this game hasn't even come out yet. The remake of Until Dawn in October. But Ballistic Moon, the developers of that, have laid off an undisclosed number of developers before the game's launch on October 4th. Now, I'm going to hit the brakes very gently, just a little tap. It is normal when a project wraps and something goes gold for there
contracts
to be,
are out, people leave,
reductions
they go around,
in staff. So,
but full on layoffs are different. Like reporting it as layoffs instead of this is just like it wouldn't be worth reporting if it was just, oh, it's the end of development, people's contracts are up, they're going to go work on other stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not done yet. But even then, you don't need everyone to finish. You need the developers who are going to optimize and all that type of stuff. Generally, it's just this report was like, really? Like actual layoffs before the game's a month before the game's even out? Month and a half?
It's brutal, man. It is brutal. The developers themselves are yet to make an official statement on the layoffs, but developers on LinkedIn have reported on them. Stuart Campbell, a game programmer at Ballistic Moon, said, "Hi, everyone. Unfortunately, my current role at Ballistic Moon is being made redundant, so I'm looking for new opportunities." Cassie Cornish, a junior game designer, like many others in this wonderful but turbulent industry, I'm sadly being made redundant from my role as a junior game designer at Ballistic Moon. Harry Williams, technical designer. That's a high-level role.
Mm-hmm.
After 2 exciting years working on the wonderful Until Dawn 2024, I'm unfortunately being made redundant as a technical designer. So that's at least 5 developers, according to Insider Gaming, that have been laid off.
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yep. So the next story.
And the train of layoffs continues. Rocksteady is reportedly the latest studio to suffer layoffs, with Suicide Squad's poor sales blamed. This is via Chris Scullion at VGC.com or Video Games Chronicle. Sources have apparently told Eurogamer that numerous employees have been made redundant over the last month, with its QA department more than halved from 33 staff to 15, as well as non-QA job losses too. Apparently, according to the source, these job losses are directly linked to the release of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, with its poor sales specifically mentioned as a reason for it, describes as restructuring.
Yep. Yeah. I got them all in one, and then it's not like the next stories. The next 2 stories aren't happy. The final story's happy.
Yeah, we'll end on a happy note, guys. Can we get that dog that scored the home run back up to cheer everyone up?
Yeah. It's just been tough. And it's one of those things that always gets me. It's like the way news gets reported or ignored, like these types of things, everyone's just like, oh, it's always so bad. It is funny to me how differently it is treated compared to when Microsoft had their ridiculous firings. It's like, it's all bad, but we only lose our shit on very specific people. It's like, if you lost your shit on everything, maybe more people would actually like comment and care, but I digress. What can I say?
Yes. Anyway, the game has been blamed, Suicide Squad, by Warner Brothers Discovery as one of the key reasons for a drop in gaming revenue. So that's got to hurt for the guys at Rocksteady. Last month, the company said its Q2 gaming revenue had fallen 41% year on year, primarily driven by the weak performance of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League compared to the strong performance of Hogwarts Legacy in the prior year. I mean, yeah, if you're going from Hogwarts to Suicide Squad, you're going to see a drop either way.
Game of the year
golf in IP.
that,
yeah, it is.
Well, you got the literally the biggest release of the year versus one that underperformed. But and Mort says in chat, I think there's simply too many games. It's probably inevitable. And yes, there are too many games for all of them to be successful. It's just, it can't happen.
Remember where I read it. Not on Reddit, but where I read the particular point. But it's one I wholeheartedly agree with. The games industry right now needs to take a step back as a whole, especially these AAA behemoths. Look at the amount of remasters and remakes and sequels that you're getting. Take a step back, rescope, downscope. All right. Stop making forever games. Go back to this world of 8-hour campaigns and do it on a budget. Stop releasing for 70. Go for 40. Put all of the bells and whistles on it.
Like the Hellblade 2 thing, like where they scoped properly for making something of that size.
Yeah, but no. Let's take them to task for releasing a game that I didn't want, says the majority of the game.
Well, it's been funny, like with the next story, the game, half the time it gets brought up, people randomly bring up Hellblade 2, and I'm like, they are not the same. Hellblade 2 was not some enormous, incredibly long thing. Like, it was actually about 4 years with a dev team of under 100 people. Like, if you can properly budget your single player stuff, even if it's a new IP, it can be okay. But even we see in something like Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, great game, new IP, 15 hours, people love that type of stuff, sold like shit.
Yeah.
Because there is so much that even it's just so hard to break through. And there was a story I had in here before where there was an interview with Addy at Xbox where they're like, game discoverability is far and away the hardest part of the industry right now. Because there are so many games and people have their, I just play this every day game.
Yeah.
I play this sports game every year. I play Call of Duty, and then maybe I'll play a couple other things, and that's about it. That's the majority. The grazers like us that will go and play a lot of stuff are not the norm.
No.
There are plenty of us, but we are not the 150 million people a month that I play Minecraft. My kid just plays Roblox and Genshin. Like, it's all he does. My other kid, all he plays is Sea of Thieves and Call of Duty now. Like, they've got their games that they focus on. And Matt Piscatella, who is quitting Twitter because it's a horrible place that no one should be on,
can't blame him, has
pretty much said you can't crack the top 10 for very long. It's always going to be the same games every year, every month, every week. You might get in there a little bit, but even if you're like a Helldivers or an X-Defiant or something, you will eventually drop out and the rest will go back up. Like Overwatch 2, people seem shocked, but it's bigger than ever. More people playing it than ever. It's free to play. It's huge. It's got an enormous audience. It's not going anywhere. And getting above the top 15 is nearly impossible to maintain. So,
yeah. Oh, dear. Anyway, yeah, speaking of things that are probably impossible to maintain, Concord may have sold as few as 25,000 copies. This is again via Video Games Chronicle, written by Jordan Midler. But this is actually via IGN, a new report from analyst Simon Carlos. It's claimed that the game has sold around 10,000 copies on Steam and just 15,000 on PlayStation. Obviously, we now know PlayStation.
I was trying to talk to you more about it. You were so tired, and Nick just couldn't get the concept. But it's like, it's not just that this game has done poorly; it's done shockingly poorly. Like, it's not this bad. It should not be doing this bad. There's some weird, almost seemingly toxic nature around Concord right now that belies the actual quality of the game, which is fine. It's very pretty. It plays okay. The maps are all right. It shouldn't be this big of a bomb, which is why it's so fascinating. It's not good. It's an interesting case study for just what happened here. Like, why is this one in particular doing this poorly? So it's so poorly that people who were being paid to stream it stopped the moment their advertising was done because they were losing followers on Twitch in real time. Like, they would see, I've lost 50 followers during this stream because for some people, there's just something about, and the only thing I can think of, this
put people off.
the generic art style that's really high fidelity, but not quite human, because you've got your Guardians of the Galaxy knockoffs. It's just, it turns people off so much that they don't want to look at it, even though it is very nice looking technically.
Yeah, it's brutal. And look, like as I was saying, PlayStation now, they don't really release sales figures anymore, right? They used to. Now they talk about users. But Concord it's just struggled. It struggled from that very first CG trailer into the gameplay demo,
so
and since then that narrative.
These characters are just so generic. Like Battleborn got a bad rap. Like Battleborn was actually a very fun MOBA, but it came out against Overwatch. It had no chance. But this one is so generic looking on the characters, man.
Yeah. And according to Sakana analyst Matt Piscatella, the game ranked 147th on the US PlayStation 5 daily active players across all titles, with fewer than 0.2% of Monday's active PS5 players playing Concord. Oof.
And
yeah, Trav, sucks for the devs.
If you go back to that segment, I was very frustrated with Nick. He could not understand. It's not just that the game's not doing well. It's not trying to dunk on it. I feel really bad for them, and I wish it was doing great. It's literally just one of the biggest bombs ever. And that is fascinating to try and figure out why, because it shouldn't be. We know why it shouldn't be successful. It's not free to... It missed all the marks on what makes this genre successful now. Like, it missed all those. So it wasn't going to be successful, but to be this unsuccessful is crazy. Also, we do have a super chat from Taryn, and I do have one thing to say. I streamed Dragon Age Inquisition yesterday. I won't stream it again because every song on that soundtrack gets you completely demonetized, so I cannot. My apologies.
Wow. But Taryn says, you guys haven't had a super chat in a while, and I'm sorry it couldn't be more. Taryn, thank you very much, man. That's very nice of you. You're still on the list, but you know, I'll pause.
You're on the you get to live. You're on the living list for now.
Just for another day.
From John.
At least. For maybe a week.
But yeah, it was weird. And it's not like how dare you, but it was one of the first times I can remember in a long time we hadn't had a super chat during a podcast. We were just able to go right through. Very odd. I had Twidget up to show them at any time.
To be fair, the community went above and beyond in actually getting us to Gamescom. So I'm not quibbling or whinging about it.
Back in the console wars, it's been greatly appreciated, trust me.
Yeah. Anyway, last couple of news pieces before we wrap things up.
I guess this one isn't sad.
It's not sad. It's the end of an era. Dragon's Dogma II director, Hideaki Itsuno, is leaving Capcom after 30 years. He worked on the original Power Stone, Devil May Cry, bit of a veteran. But he posted on Twitter, thanked fans for their long-term support and said, at the end of August 2024, I'll be leaving Capcom after 30 years and 5 months. Thank you for your long-term support of the games and characters I've been responsible for. I hope you will continue to support Capcom's games and characters. From September, I will start developing a new game in a new environment. I hope to create fun, beautiful games that are as memorable as, or even more memorable than the ones I've created so far. Please stay tuned for my next creation. End of an era, but he's not leaving the industry, so best of luck to him and his new venture / endeavor. And I don't think it is sad, because for all of the talk of consolidation and the death of the industry, there are always new creators, new ideas, new studios being formed every week that in 5 years' time will be the next massive, huge hit game that you didn't see coming. And that is what is so magical.
He's going out on a high note, because I freaking love Dragon's Dogma 2. It was great.
So, yeah, good times. Anywho, best of luck to him. Last but not least, this is kind of good news, I feel.
This is very good news.
If you're a big Remedy fan and you loved Control and you loved Remedy's IPs in general, like Alan Wake, well, good news. Annapurna are on board and co-financing Control 2, and will be looking to bring Remedy IPs, including Alan Wake, to both film and TV. Remedy have said that the deal will make Control 2 exactly the game we want it to be. This is via VGC, Chris Scullion writing. And there's a statement on the official Remedy website that goes into a little bit more detail, but suffice to say, The Control 2 development team is working full steam ahead on the game. We know that you're eager for news on it and Condor, but we're going to have to wait a while for that. Remedy creative director Sam Lake said, I'm absolutely thrilled by this opportunity to expand the story of Alan Wake and our whole Remedy connected universe to mediums beyond games, and to build all of this in close collaboration, games, films, TV, and other mediums, as well as one unified vision. I trust Annapurna are the perfect partner for us to make this dream come true. And to be fair, Annapurna are pretty great.
Yeah.
Like, they're one of my favorite indie publishers because they do so many unique and cool things. And because of their theater, film, TV, like celeb arms, they often do some really, really different stuff. So good for them.
And the way Remedy does their stuff, they use a bunch of actors for the main part, except for the guy who actually plays Alan Wake, who does the face in the acting, but is voiced by the guy who was actually one of the scientists from Control, which is why when they were doing the dance thing, he was lip syncing as the other guy was in front singing, which is funny. But everyone else can pretty much just play themselves in something like this. They're all legit good actors and actresses, so that's always neat. I really enjoyed playing Control. I did not like the main story of Control, but the actual world and the lore behind it was incredible. I do think lack of budget, since it was their first game without Microsoft's backing, probably didn't help with the way they do stuff. So having Annapurna and being able to try and match what they did with Epic with Alan Wake 2, which hasn't made them any money, crazily enough. Sounds like a really good match. Again, it all ends up coming down to budgeting and all that type of stuff, and I'm hoping they nail it, because Alan Wake 2 was like Quantum Break. I really liked the gameplay and I enjoyed the campaign. Control 2, I loved the gameplay but wasn't huge on the campaign. Then they nailed it in Alan Wake 2, where I loved all of it. The gameplay and the story was just so good. Then the DLC was all really good, where they created their connected universe and brought in Quantum Break, even though they don't have the IP. They just brought in those characters essentially in various ways, and it was really fun. So when I saw this one, I was like, I'm going to finish with this one, because this is some of the best news I've heard, because I really like Remedy.
Yeah. Best of luck to them. And also, weirdly, both of their logos have their main letters kind of weirdly going out of focus. Maybe it's a hint. I don't know. But yeah, cool for Remedy and cool for fans of Control. I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I really enjoyed the first game for the most part. I thought that, again, the world was its strongest thing. It was just wonderfully weird.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. Anyways,
we
that
did have
is
another super
much.
chat.
Oh, it's Jordan Andow here with a super chat saying, what list am I on? You haven't had super chats because I haven't been around for the podcast for a few weeks. That's true. You have been absent. Have you backed Console Wars, the card game, Jordan? That's the real question I have, because if you haven't, you should. Just a friendly reminder for those out there, go
have a
back
link
it while the backing's good. 24 hours, it's closing, so get in there while the getting's good. Last thing I wanted to mention, and this is just a random one, and it's not really news, but Eurogamer turns 25 years old. I read Eurogamer for a lot when I was a kid. They were kind of
that's a long
big
time
site in the UK. Congrats to those guys. It's crazy to me that we are over 5 years old now. XboxEra as a team, like that's nuts. But 25, wowee, and still going strong. Although now owned by Ziff Davis, so hope that 25 years continues for a long while. Until next time, what have we got coming? You've got a big review dropping tomorrow.
Yeah, we got a review tomorrow. I know you might want to play some Space Marine 2 once it's out later in the week. I won't be around
on Friday.
So I might try and stream tomorrow, because tomorrow night I'm flying out for a thing for the site. So I can let you know on Thursday when it is. But Thursday headlines will have to be put together by you and Ursel.
Yeah.
So feel free to start filling up this showrunner once I've got everything done with it.
I will do it 10 minutes before and not a moment sooner.
We've Fairy's working on Test Drive Solar Crowns review. I have no idea when that comes out. Chengus is working on a few things. We just had Star Trucker go live. We just had Your Little Nightmares 3 preview go live. There's lots more coming this week.
There's a little preview. Yeah, preview, I think, on Friday. Fingers crossed. Big. I'm gonna say review. a big review for a big game. I think next week, if my dates are correct. Is it next week? Is it the week after?
It's exactly a week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got more stuff coming. We're going to bring a Jackbox Not Safe for Work party game review.
The Jackbox Naughty Pack, they call it.
And that's the one. Thank you for keeping me honest there. And then man, Plucky Squire's coming out this month. Like, I'm reviewing that. Like, there's just so much to do. It's great.
I think there's a Karate Kid game coming soon that Nick was going to do.
We got code for that this morning.
No, we got told that code is coming in soon for that.
Oh, okay.
I actually read the emails.
No, I just scan the topics. But hey, all of this wonderful content, all of the stuff, this show, the weekly podcast, everything that XboxEra can and does do, reviewing more games than most big sites out there, is made possible by you, dear viewer, and especially our wonderful and amazing patrons, like sending us to Gamescom, helping us go above and beyond with the launch of Console Wars, the card game, enabling me and Jesse to kind of live the dream a little bit here. We owe you guys a lot. And if you want to become a patron, I wouldn't blame you, because they are some seriously cool motherfuckers. Head to patreon.com/XboxEra. But thank you guys so much for everything you do. We'll be back on Thursday, minus that guy, but with maybe the other guy that everyone seems to prefer to me with a beard,
Bearded John.
Ursel. And we'll be back as per usual for the Saturday show. Until then, my dear friends, we'll see you next time.
Ciao for now.